Okay, Confederal Socialists, we need to be fair here. I mean, I believe that the U.S. claim on what's now U.S. territory has many illegitimate aspects, and this is true going back through time, potentially to the indigenous people. There's histories of struggle, and if we want to go back to a nonviolent acquisition of property, then we would have to go back into the hidden eras of unwritten history. But given that, you still are not quite fair to government. Um, the French didn't just claim the Louisiana Territory from Europe. They went over there, and they did. They at least explored the land. And they might not have built a fence, but they did build fortifications and camps and infrastructure. And I don't see how, if a group of people builds infrastructure, that doesn't count as a group claim based on the what you're calling a legitimate means to claim. All right, I don't understand that. Now, this idea that you have to work land is the whole point. They came with that idea, that you have to work land, and it's part of the claim system. Still, it still is part of the claim system. You can get a gold claim in California still, and it requires that you do something on the land and improve it and are involved with it. You can't just hold it like regular private property. Now, in terms of a bottom up or top down, I agree. This is the legitimacy issue, is whether or not you have a group of people making a common claim because they as a group are, for example, improving that territory with, for example, infrastructure, or you have a top-down claim which would generally have been done by force and by guns, and then, in a sense, by securing the area. In other words, the property claim is your ability to defend it. So that the French, by their promise to defend the Louisiana Territory with their army, are making a top-down property claim. And to me, that is not particularly legitimate. But the whole point of democratic revolution has been that we as a group are making these claims. That we claimed the United States territory in the name of the people that actually came over here, as opposed to the government, the British, that won it by force. Okay? So why can't I establish my government as my claims organization, as how we hold property in common? A reliance on legitimacy, I'm open to that argument, but none of your property is going to be legitimate. You can't have, Joe the rancher's ownership of his ranch be legitimate, but then pretend that it wasn't legitimate when he was given the chance to own it by a U.S. or possibly British government. If that granting of the deed by that government, which is the only place that his property deed is legal, is in the court of that government. If their claim to oversee that is illegitimate, then he has no claim to it, because the one is based on the other. Because the government went in there and secured the area, provided some amounts of infrastructure, such as roads, a mail service, some sort of security, like fortifications, protections from other people that might not want to respect that claim, or even from nature and wild animals. They did go and provide that infrastructure, and the legal infrastructure upon which Joe the rancher's claim is made. You can't just wipe out the underlying one and say that it goes to Joe the rancher. And in cases where we do or could do that, a group of people will go out and they will create these common organizations like a claim system. Okay? And that is where a shared ownership of the commons comes from. So the word government is wrong in that case, because we're just talking about an organization that oversees the infrastructure in an area of that is commonly held, common property, shared property. So if we establish or reestablish or reinvent our government as bottom up, then we will have a legitimate government according to the rules of legitimacy that you are describing. And we also don't really have to have it be much different than it is now, because if a group of people hold property in common, obviously we can say that, whatever rules we want about being in that cooperative. Okay? So, yeah. So it was an interesting video. I think the main, I've tried to give various, details of feedback. Overall, the summary is just that I don't think you are being fair to the history, because while the government did do some illegitimate things, it really shouldn't just be that we wave our hands and call it all at the point of the gun. These governments did come in and build infrastructure. They did come in and build ports and various kinds of outposts and provide mail and roads. They did work the land. They made it possible for other people to go claim particular pieces of land. And that was really their purpose as a cooperative, was to provide an umbrella under which other people could own more private property. And you want to ignore that service that they did, I don't think you get to do that. You can't ignore it. That is the foundation upon which that property was established. So it seems to me that we're demonizing just an idea, and there's supposed to be an actual ramification. A group of trees is a forest.